Welcome everybody to the next episode of the Cannabis Review. I'm delighted to be joined in this episode by Tim Daly, who's the CEO at Truen Global over in America, a smart packaging technology company. How are you keeping today, Tim?
All is well. Thank you very much and Happy New Year to you. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to have you on. You guys are one of the hot new companies in the American industry at the moment. Can you maybe give everybody a little overview of your history and business to date and how you ended up at Truen Global?
Absolutely. And thank you for that introduction. That's fabulous. So my career has been spent in IoT, so in creating smart objects, smart rooms, typically to add value. So the typical use case is supply chain. So digitizing physical objects, digitizing physical rooms to track things as they move through. So essentially moving terrestrial data sets into the digital, into the cloud for value, whether it be knowing where things are so you can do accurate instantaneous inventory counts, cycle counts, or creating intelligent objects that know exactly who they are, where they are, and can provide some sort of value for an end user. So use cases like authentication, tamper detection, open and closed messages, etc.
Okay, interesting. And moving on to Truen Global, in terms of the supply chain, where it is do you see that Truen Global adds value to the supply chain?
So what's interesting in cannabis, it's truly a broken industry. It's a nascent industry in the United States, and unlike traditional industries, manufacturing, government, retail, globally that use best practices in supply chain, cannabis is an area that where the supply chain is effectively broken. It's currently an analog process. So you have individuals touching every item, scanning them with a barcode reader, putting them down and touching the next one. So in an industry that's highly regulated like cannabis, where there's a requirement to do individual unit counts, cycle counts, et cetera, either on a daily, monthly, or quarterly basis, when you have the human element involved, there's going to be errors. There's going to be, it's expensive. There's a significant amount of errors. So it's a simple matter to take the best practices of supply chain that are used globally and bring them into an industry, i.e. cannabis, that direly needs them. So it creates incredible efficiencies, saves time, saves money, reduces all those errors, and helps keep businesses compliant with the regulatory requirements.
And from my research as well, it seems you guys are adding value at the payment side of things. Can you elaborate a little bit on that for the audience?
So that, and thanks for bringing that up. That's an exciting area. We've recently acquired a company that had over the last 3 years built out a Hyperledger Fabric payment solution, and this solution was specifically built for the cannabis industry. So, as I mentioned a minute ago, the supply chain side has been broken in cannabis. The payment side as well is broken. There, in the United States, so there's truly no effective, legal, efficient, low-cost payment solution available. Of course, part of this goes to the fact that cannabis is currently a scheduled and illegal substance at the federal level. But there just are no payment solutions. There's ATM solutions. They're expensive. They don't really work well, and they're skating on the edge of legality. So the other thing that on the other side that we brought, of course, is the payment side. And so we've purchased this company. They are the first stablecoin blockchain payment solution that, instead of skirting the SEC in the United States, they went directly to the SEC about 3 years ago, worked with the SEC to prove that this solution is truly a security, and that should be registered and regulated by the SEC. So this solution is the first ever global approved SEC stablecoin payment solution. And in the most simplistic sense, because everything I just said is very technical and confusing, but suffice to say, we are rolling out in the first quarter of this year within the United States a Starbucks app-like payment solution for cannabis. So download your Starbucks app. You answer some basic questions because this is an SEC registered security. You've got to answer the know your customer rule, anti-money laundering rule, And then once that's done, you'll connect your bank account to the app. You'll upload, let's say, $100 like you would in Starbucks. That $100 is directly deposited into a U.S. money market account. You'll walk into your dispensary, make your purchase. You'll show your phone. The bud tender will scan the phone. It will remove from your wallet those dollars for your purchase, and all is good with the world. And this is all done using an SEC-approved, patented stablecoin platform.
Yeah, I think the key word from that there you said is solutions. The more I researched into the company, the more it is that you guys are actually providing core and key solutions for businesses across the cannabis industry. I wanted to move now on to the smart packaging side of things and the technology behind it. Most people might have heard of near field communication, but the ultra high frequency radio frequency identification, can you maybe elaborate on what is behind the technology so everybody could understand?
Sure. Yeah. So UHF, ultra high frequency RFID, is the global standard for digitizing individual objects and then tracking them throughout the supply chain. So RFID, it's well seen and well used across all the US and retail. And I think one of the real good examples of that would be the large retailer Walmart. So Walmart requires that every product that is shipped into Walmart, with the exception of grocery items, has to have an RFID tag on that. And the purpose is it allows for simple, frictionless intaking of objects. So you use an RFID scanner, you scan it, it sees every individual object in there, immediately connects that to their point of sale and inventory systems. Those products are then moved into some sort of inventory room in the back. There can be fixed readers that scan the room automatically every second or so and see all of the objects there, and then can reconcile that immediately with what's supposed to be there. So we know what's supposed to be where, we know exactly where it is. And when then those objects move from the inventory room onto the floor of the actual retailer, we can see as they move from here onto the floor. And so we know where things are at all times. It provides incredible business intelligence. It reduces things like product stockouts. It reduces things like over inventorying. So you don't have to tie up all your money in inventory. You can be incredibly efficient with what you have and knowing where it is at all times. So that
Yeah.
effectively is a global standard for digitizing objects.
No, it is incredible, and it seems that you guys offer complete security in the supply chain, which is lacking to a degree in a number of states and somewhat in Canada as well.
Yes, it's interesting. So we're operational in a number of big states in the United States, and I've always said that you can have a business that is regulated, or the states mandate your business, and that's great. However, what our approach has always been that we need to grow organically. We need to be able to go to operators, whether it's a producer, whether it's a dispensary, or a vertically integrated SSO or MSO, and we have to truly add value. We have to save the money, keep them compliant, et cetera. And that's what we've done. Our customers are finding huge savings, incredible efficiencies. And what was nice is in Maryland the other day, one of the officers who perform the regular audits came in and saw our solution in place, and they were extraordinarily excited. So they took samples back, and they want to try to propose that type of solution be mandated for all producers and dispensaries in the state. And it makes sense. It creates efficiencies. It allows for the regulators to know where the product is. So regulators can now walk in, they can have their own handheld RFID scanners, and they can scan a room instantly. They can then reconcile that with what's supposed to be there. So by digitizing objects with ultra high frequency RFID, you offer value to the regulators, you offer value to the producers, you offer value to the dispensaries. And at the end of the day, it ultimately becomes valuable to the customers because, one, with all these efficiencies, you can save money and therefore sell the product at a lower price. And two, the customers know that these are legal tested products that have been through the legal supply chain and that they've not come in from the gray markets. So every stakeholder in the cannabis world benefits from digitizing individual cannabis units.
And it seems as automation and robotics come into the manufacturing and packaging and distribution side of the industry, that your technology is tailor made for these advancements that are coming in the industry.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I mean, machines, these things have to speak to each other. And I think a good example of that from personally from my career, before I was working in cannabis, I put together, helped sell in and build and deploy the entire automation system for Tesla. So at Tesla, there were all these inefficiencies because they were using barcode scanners. By adding RFID to all individual bins, racks, and ultimately individual items like battery pallets, they were able to track where everything was. They created incredible efficiencies. And when you needed the red door to come in for that Model S at a certain time, you knew that the red door left the inventory room. You saw the gateways it goes through. So you knew that that product was going to be there when it needed to be there. So it's about creating efficiencies. And if you're going to automate, you have to have systems that will speak to each other and understand the data and the outputs.
We've had a lot of talk about the DEA rescheduling over the last number of days. We've seen the stocks from a lot of the MSOs take a little bump, which was well
Yeah,
needed for anybody who's got its skin in the game there.
no
What
doubt.
do you think within the first Q1 of this year that we're going to end up having some positive feedback from them? Everything is pointing towards something positive, whether it's descheduling down to Schedule 3 or whether it's a full federal legalization plan. Obviously, everybody hoping for the latter.
Yeah, I mean, I think this administration desperately needs a win, and there was a lot of hope that they would be a much more favorable or pro cannabis administration. So the of course the expectation is that the DEA will provide a favorable rescheduling ruling. And personally speaking, I don't hold out any short-term hope for legislators or politicians to get something done. I do hold out hope that there will be a rescheduling. And by rescheduling from a 1 to a type 3 substance, that's a game changer for the industry. I mean, it frees up cash flow, allows for those standard 280E exemptions, and it will be a true game changer. And of course, to your point, you can see that starting to be built in a small way into some of these publicly traded cannabis stocks right now.
Yeah, and it seems the winners, if we do end up getting federal legalization, the brands will be the kind of dominant players in the industry, like it is in beverages and in any consumer packaged goods side of things.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard numbers from some of the larger publicly traded MSOs on what a rescheduling would do to their balance sheet in terms of cash flow, and it's a night and day change. And the challenge for the industry, and one of the reasons why they've not adopted best practices is it requires capital, and most of these businesses are well underwater. The last year has been a very difficult environment for attracting outside capital to come in. So with the rescheduling, that will free up significant free cash flow day one, and it will allow these businesses to make investments in things that will create efficiencies and ultimately provide a better experience for all stakeholders.
Yeah, hopefully year 2024 now we get Germany's industry starts getting some momentum and we see some change happen in America. And we look to forward to seeing True Clean Global dominate on a global scale.
Well, we truly appreciate that. Our goal is to bring to fix the broken parts of the cannabis market. Like I said earlier, it's the supply chain side and it's the payment side. And again, UHF RFID is not truly inventing the wheel. We're just bringing to bear in cannabis tried and true best practices from supply chain, and we're adopting it and adapting it to the nuance and requirements of the cannabis industry. So it's an exciting time. We see that we're changing customers and improving their bottom line and their efficiencies across their entire organization. So it's thrilling. It's a fun time to be in the business.
It's been incredible talking to you, Tim. Hopefully, we get to touch base now in Q2 of this year and we can get an update. And we've got some positive news in America. For anybody who has not been to True Green Global's website, the link is below and it'll be in the description wherever you watch or view this. I highly recommend following them on social media and go to visit their site. Tim, thank you very much for your time today. It's very much appreciated.
Thank you very much. I truly appreciate it. We have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend.
Cheers. Until next episode, everybody.